So welcome to another video from Players8.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today we're doing our October monthly update.
Ooh, spooky.
Yes, I've got my spoopy pumpkins.
Yeah.
Ooh! If you don't know, Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. So
it is a cool holiday. I had a good time with it.
Yeah, I love horror films anyway, so I'm like, oh, it's fall. Let's get into it.
I think one of my favorite things about October is the just the marathons that you'll find on AMC and others. Although I get tired of watching Halloween. There's just so many of those. I just get tired of them.
They're all terrible. The first one's good. Yeah. Everything else sucks in that
I don't know.
That's generally... But yeah, it's a great
Sorry,
time
I probably
of year.
offended people.
Who
2 people.
cares?
Yeah.
As such, I don't know. It's also been a very busy month for us.
Well, we only played like once or twice.
Yeah, I think we played 2... Was it just one battle of actual war games?
Yeah, we played war games once, and then we played twice with family...
Yeah,
other games.
Some other games.
Yeah. So it was a hard month, and part of it was you just started a new job.
Yes.
Right? And I still am kind of caught in the malaise of my new job, even though it's been almost 5 months.
Yeah, but that's not nothing.
No. And I just felt like we had a lot of family stuff. A lot of different activities and trunk or treats and church parties.
The second month of October was like jam-packed.
So it was rough.
Yes.
I kind of missed playing. I did.
Yes, I'm grateful we were able to kind of get together beginning of November and kind of start getting back into things. So, let's kind of just jump right in then, I guess.
Yeah.
For the game that we played in October. And it was like October 1st as well when we played it. And so we played Europe in Turmoil. Mm-hmm. There is a review for this either on our channel.
It's on there.
Okay, it's already
up. It's up.
This was a very, very good game.
Yeah.
Little kind of 1989 Twilight Struggle, card-driven style.
Yep.
But this kind of build up to World War I. Real good game.
It's just it's Twilight, like I said, Twilight Struggle, but it's just been expanded. There's been new things added, different elements, different historical period, and it's an excellent game. I think I made this statement when we did the review. I don't know, when I played it, I just wasn't enjoying it as much as I thought I would until afterwards, and I thought, oh, that was really good.
Yeah.
Especially the way it used symbols, and very similar to 1989 in that respect.
And so here's the thing, a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Because...
this seems staged.
No, it is
not.
not.
It's not. This is
not. I don't know if
spontaneous.
You know what's coming here. So, and this is kind of a question for the viewers out there as well. Because, kind of to what you were talking about, what we do is we will play a game, and then we sit here and we discuss and kind of digest and break down what we've just done. What we've experienced, what the game was like, the theme, the mechanics, and all that kind of stuff. And... there are times where I'm like, I enjoy our conversation more than the game.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Because we'll play a game, and I'm like, yeah, that was a cool game, and it had this. But the more we talk about it, where it's like, oh man, this part of it was really neat, and I'm like, you know what? The influence of that on the other parts of the game was extremely good. And the more we kind of dive into those and that discussions helps me to really almost elevate some of these games of how we experience them.
There have been many times where we've played a game, and mechanically I was like, oh, that was interesting, or...
Oh, like, I don't understand why it's doing a thing. And then you're like, well, this and this. I'm like,
Yeah, the discussion, the banter back and forth, after sometimes the debrief, to me is the best part of a lot of times.
And so that's my question. Is that something that anyone would be interested in seeing? Like...
But
I don't know if that's cool if I just push the play button, a record button, and you got like the raw. Maybe that'll be a patron thing. I don't know.
Well, I will say this. Here's one thing I would say. You know who I am, right? We've played together many years.
Yes.
There are times I make snap judgments.
Yeah.
Because I'm pissed.
Yes.
You know, because something doesn't go the way that I thought it was or expected it to go, or I didn't get the cards that I needed, and it can be frustrating. Sometimes I'm playing you. Mm-hmm. You know, there's that.
No, the gamesmanship.
The gamesmanship back and forth, And I think Tim, our friend, made that comment about me. He goes, Grant, just shut up. I know what you're saying and trying to do. Just stop. And I'm like, okay, I'll just play the game. But it's just fun. I just don't know that would be, I don't know that it would be as spontaneous. I don't know that it would be as, because there are times.
I agree, but I'm like, I just wonder if that would be.
Oh, I don't think there's a doubt that people would enjoy that in some way, shape, or form.
Because we ramble enough on video anyway, and I'm like, I don't know if people want more of that. But I'm like, some of those immediate, like,
more rambling,
first time discussions.
No one ever.
Where, like, I'm almost learning in real time, I really enjoy that in games. Yeah. And this was a great example of that, where, like, I had a great time with it right off the bat, and I thought it was, I'm like, I know what this game is, I'm basically familiar with all the mechanics.
Yep.
And it was awesome, but, like, that doesn't necessarily mean that you felt the same way.
Yeah,
and we've played numbers of games. Like, there'll be a game here where I'm like, what on earth, what are we doing? Like, what is this thing? Yeah. And then you're like, but the mechanic is this because of this. And I'm like, yeah. And then, like, and then we kind of, like, do it, and then we're done with it. And then it's like, I look at the end state of the board, I'm like, oh, I kind of, like, oh. I don't know. I don't know.
I do think part of the thing that I enjoy about our sessions is that real heartfelt discussion, frustration, difficulty as we're going through the games.
Yeah.
Or the concept of, boy, something's wrong, Alexander. How many times have we said that? Yeah. Where we're like, this doesn't feel right.
This is your superpower, by the way.
I think it is.
I'm not very good at this.
I do think I have a superpower.
Like, this is uncanny. If you ever play a game with Grant, and it might be a new game or a game that we're learning, most times we read the rules and it's kind of fine. Yeah. But there are always, like, every so often there's games, and almost immediately, if something's wrong, you know it.
It feels wrong. Like there's a...
And I'm, like, reading the rules, trying to interpret that, and I'm like... I'm like, this is what it says, this is what it means. Yeah. And then you're like, you shouldn't be able to do this thing. And then I'm, like, looking in other parts of the rules, I'm like, oh, shoot, it says right here.
There's an exception.
Like, you're absolutely right. You have a feel for games where you're like, a thing is broken, and it's not because the game's broken, it's because we're not playing it right.
Right, exactly.
And it is like...
Yeah, this mechanic we are doing, if this is the way it was put into the game, something's wrong.
Yeah, and it's like...
Because I'm like milling it or do it.
No designer is that dumb.
Yeah.
And every time it's in the rules, and it like, you were right, and I'm like...
But that kind of stuff
freaks me out.
Is golden. I do wish we could capture that. I'm just not sure... Yeah. Because I'm not sure I would be as open.
Yes, and that's true. And like
only because I really...
Our sessions are disgustingly long because of how many rules we read and all that.
We're ridiculous sometimes. Yeah. I feel like we're two old women, and nothing wrong with old women.
No,
just arguing and going back and forth, and then you get your stone face where I can't tell whether you understand or agree with what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm like just trying to get the factual answer.
But
like,
that's your British nature, and it's just who you are.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it would be interesting.
Yeah.
But I do think we've played so many games and so many different types of games. There are times that I'm just like, wait a second.
Yeah.
This does not feel correct.
Yeah, we have a feel for rules. I can learn, give me a rule book and I can read it and we can play it.
Yeah.
Like, it's rare where I'm like, this rule book's really bad.
Yeah.
Because
we've had that
I can't learn it because it's so awful.
Yeah.
But I've read so many where I'm like, yep, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Then, your intuition is insane with that. It's scary.
And I will say this. I actually am very proud of us. We have never house-ruled games.
No.
You and I have never said, that is not the way it should work. We're going to change it. I've never done that. And there's some games we've played a lot.
Yeah.
But we've never done a house rule.
I don't... in board games, I don't think I believe in house rules.
I don't either. I hate them.
Because
our friend Mike, who we play with in St. Louis,
he is king of the house rules.
I love the guy, but we played a game, War Room. We played War Room for the first time. We played like an 8-hour session. And overnight, as we were preparing for our second play the next day...
Here's my PDF of house rules.
He had a PDF of house rules, like 4 pages.
Yeah.
And I said, Mike, this doesn't work. I don't agree with this. Nope.
He's got his house rule sheet for Empire of the Sun.
And it's just...
I'm like...
Anyway, we're kind of getting off
Yes.
topic, but
And there's nothing wrong. If that's how you play games, that's fine. That's just not what we do. And I'm like, because if the game, I'm going to play the game how it was like intended to be played.
Well, I think
if
that
you don't like how it's intended to be played, play a different game.
well, and I think that's just it. So
I
many.
don't care enough to make it work.
I think it goes back to both your and my belief about these games. People have put their blood, sweat, and tears into these games. Some people design one game because it takes
A long time.
a decade.
Yeah.
And they don't have the gumption to do it again.
Yeah,
or
it was just like a labor of love. And they just wanted to
yeah,
do it.
and how dare I question their motives or their modus operandi or their way of thinking or their approach or their take on history. I just don't believe in that.
And, more power to you if that's what you want to do. That's just not how we roll.
Well, I would discuss it with them, but I'm going to play it the way you tried to make it.
Yeah.
Because you made it that way for a reason.
Yeah.
There were a dozen playtesters. They played it 10 times a piece. They agreed to that because it made the most sense. So how dare I kind of
Well, and if
deign to
if it doesn't
improve
work
it.
for me and I don't like it,
Don't play it.
I don't have to play it.
Yeah, we there's been
There's
games.
a million other games that I could play.
I think that's the other thing. I think there's a big misconception about you and I and what we do. We do not often do a negative review.
No.
In fact, I'm going to say it. Empire at Sea,
Yeah.
or isn't that what it was called?
Yeah, Empire Sea.
From Hollandspiel. I just didn't really like it. It just But you know what? I saw a lot of great things in it.
Yes, it is possible to appreciate the things in there and talk about those things, and still not have enjoyed it.
But there have been some games, and I'm not going to name any of those, that we have played and we were just like, this is not for me.
Yeah, and that stuff doesn't make it onto video.
Yep, it doesn't make it.
I will not make a review of that game.
And there have been some that I'm like, boy, I really wanted to do a review of that one because it's a hot game.
And people are like, oh, that'd be really helpful. And I'm like, it might be. But, you can get that information elsewhere. I'm not the only person.
I just don't know that I'm going to sit there and tear something apart.
It's not worth my time.
And I'm also not going to go through it if we really had that bad of an experience with it.
No,
I'm not going to go through it and try to look for the one kernel that I did think was good. Because there's always something good in every game, period. I don't care what it is. From tiddlywinks to...
Sometimes the good thing in the game is the box art.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Or the fact that it's over. We played it and it's over.
It came in a box.
There was a very well thought of... Sorry, I know we've gone way off the rails. A very well thought of Polybag series of games that we got a couple of years ago from WBC. And I think we were very excited about them. Yeah. I'm not going to... We played that one, and I remember thinking, after one turn...
It was like, let's put this back in the polybag.
Yeah, let's put it away and let's get something else out that we want to play.
We didn't do this.
Yeah, and I know I'm not wrong on it.
Nope.
If I gave it another try, I might, but it wasn't.
But
worth
I don't
it.
I don't need to.
No,
I don't have the time or inclination to do so when I could play something that I'm going to enjoy. And I know I'm going to enjoy.
And there also was another company, a very small company, very small publisher, that we played a Polybag game that I spent $35 on of my own money. This was before we got review copies.
That was years ago.
Of anything. I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to get that one because it looks dope. We got that thing out. I came over here. We set it up. The initial starting mechanic was so goofy.
It was like not a game.
Well, it was over. Half the time it was over before the game even started.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like you'd lose the game in setup.
Yeah.
And not in like I set it up wrong.
No.
It was not.
Because of some random rolls with huge modifiers. And I remember we literally sold that game.
Yeah.
I think you tried to trade it or sell it or...
No, I think I traded it. I was like, put it into a trade, and it was like...
And I felt bad because I felt like we were putting a bear trap in that bag and trying to throw it on someone else, but...
It just wasn't, like, I don't know.
Anyway.
But, like, I don't know. Our channel is here to, like, showcase good things and to, like, be a positive influence in the hobby, and... An hour of me ragging on something ain't gonna
There's more than enough good out there that we can spend our time on that.
And you can go onto any forums and Facebook groups you want and find... plenty of negativity.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid of the internet. It's all out there.
And not just negativity about wargaming. There are some people that have trashed us.
Oh,
You know,
And
these
they're
guys are
fully entitled
shills
to-
and blah, blah, blah.
and are probably correct in their opinions
It's,
anyway.
it's so funny because I remember when we were new. We're really going down a rabbit hole now.
We're also still very new.
We are. But when we were so new, we were so taken by one publisher and one set of games and a couple of designers. And man, we played everything that we could of theirs.
Well, and it's no secret who that was. And
Mark Herman and GMT Games. I mean,
because they were the ones that opened their arms to us and were like,
Yeah.
welcome to the hobby.
We'll give you a
we
game
help
or two."
people
Yeah,
in the hobby.
yeah.
And it was like, oh, sweet.
yeah.
These
But-
kind, generous people.
But it's so funny. I remember we found some thread on a subreddit forum, and I think you texted it. This was months and months and months ago, or maybe I texted it to you. I was like, "Look at these people ragging on us," and
Oh,
they
I
were
love
like,
it.
"I kind of like the Players Aid, but you know what? They're just trying to love this one company," and I'm like, "I don't have money to buy 50 war games. I
don't have the time to play 50 war games
But I
either.
think that's the funny thing. Sorry. I just think that's the funny thing. My gosh, I got a family.
Yeah.
I got a real job. I got bills. I'm trying to save for retirement and pay for college for my kids. And I can't buy 30 war games a year.
No.
I buy 4 or 5 war games a year and my wife wants to kill me. And those are ones that we can't get.
Yeah.
You know, because there's some publishers that just don't understand the value of a $30 game, giving it to us and not expecting us to say, "Oh, that game was awesome," because we don't do that.
Nope.
I don't know. That's what has been very interesting for me. I think over the past 6, almost 7 years now.
So yeah, we played Europe
So,
and
yeah,
Turmoil this month.
great.
It was excellent.
It was good.
It was very, very,
It's
very,
very
good.
good.
That was an excellent game. The one of the other games I played, Africa, from the Gamers. This is Standard Combat Series.
What did that come
SCS
like out
game.
of 1980?
1993.
Okay, 93. So it's
This is
newer
like
than
a
I thought.
little 1-inch box, and it was old. This thing costs like $20 on Board Game Geek. It smells musty.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, the thing's 20 years
Well,
old.
and I'm like,
25.
We played Rostov 41, loved it.
Yeah.
Loved
Same
the system.
system.
Absolutely the same.
This is
system.
number 2 in that system, right?
Yes.
What's number 1?
Oh gosh, I knew it. It was like something. Drive on Moscow or something.
Okay.
Some
Okay.
German tanks. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is a very the system's been around for ages,
Yeah.
and I'm like, the Africa 2, which is by MMP, it's like a redo of this game. It's like $120.
Yeah.
You can't get it. It's out of print. And I'm like, you know what? I want to try. I want to try the first edition. Sod it. Who cares?
Yeah.
And perfectly serviceable. Had a good time.
Yeah, you tweeted out several pictures and kind of an AAR going
yeah,
on.
I played it solo. No reason you couldn't do that. And I shot a solo AAR, and there's going to be a review of this coming. So I had a great time. It's a great system I love, and it was nice to play something not World War One and to set it up and just kind of push the counters around and do it all. It was very
I do think that's something that you do that I don't have the gumption to do. I have several big war games that I know we're not going to play, like Day of Days. I would love to, because that's SCS, right?
Yep.
I would love to play that one.
You just got to set up 2 maps and put
Yeah,
it out.
I just need to put 1 or 2 maps out there
just do
and
a little
just,
bit
I
every
know.
day, a little bit every day.
I did some of that with Holland 44 and a couple of,
Great game.
I like playing them with you.
Yeah,
That's
and
part
I
of the
fully
way
understand that.
I don't know.
But I'm like, I was also kind of testing it because I'm like,
Yeah.
is it really old? Is it going to hold up? I don't want to waste our time if it's kind of a dud. So I kind of wanted to try it out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's great.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
Well, cool.
So yeah,
That'll give us some more kind of classic war game content on the.
Yeah,
on
that
the
was kind of the other
channel.
war game that I played. Did you play any war games?
Well, I played a couple of solo games. Soviet Dawn, which
Yes.
we've already talked about. I shot a video review with my thoughts, and I also did a playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
What I would caution you about that playthrough is I made one big mistake, and I kept making that mistake over and over and over and over again. You're supposed to discard the tokens. I kept throwing them back into the pool so I could try to get them again.
Okay.
I just made a mistake. I played that game 10 times. It's a blast. I've won 3 or 4.
States of Siege are always enjoyable.
Yeah, States of Siege. So I played
like
that.
most of those.
I also played about 3/4 of a game of Gorbachev from White Dog Games. It's a solo 1989, kind of the end of end of Russia and
End of the Cold War.
perestroika and all that stuff. Very cool game. It's also States of Siege by Ben Madison. I need to get back and play it and do some reviews of it, but that's kind of what I played. And then we played a couple games with her.
Yeah, we did a lot of kind of family gaming, as we'll call it.
Well, we did Oath.
Oath was
From
yeah. We played one game of it, and we played 2 games.
No, we played one. We set up for the second one and decided that we didn't want to do it.
Oh, we did. What we did is we did the kind of learning playthrough that they did.
Yes.
And then
Yep.
we played our own actual game.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what we did.
So we kind of played it twice.
Yeah, that was a very interesting and very different style of game.
Oh, yeah.
That's
yeah.
a lot of kind of wrap your head around a lot of things. And it's
Yeah.
faux legacy style, so like how we played affects the setup for the next one.
Yeah, because you like take certain cards out
Yeah.
or you put certain cards in. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, that
just
was,
really fascinating.
Yeah, I'd like to get back to that and do that again.
I didn't understand it, but you know what? I enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
really did. And
Yeah.
Brum, our brother-in-law, man, he jumped on it, and I think he really picked it up very quickly.
Well, he figured out, yeah, he does a lot of those
yeah,
styles of games,
Yeah.
and here's me with my little hexes and counters, and it's none of that's applicable.
yeah. So yeah, we did that, and then we did Descent,
Yep.
second edition, from Fantasy Flight Games, which is
It's
a
third edition.
Third
That's
edition.
what it is, yeah.
dungeon crawl.
Yes, Descent Legends of the
Cooperative.
Dark. Big app-assisted miniatures, big 3D
It's an
cardboard
awesome
terrain.
game. I enjoyed
It's a nice
our
co-op,
plays
and
of
that's
that.
we play it with our father-in-law, brother-in-law, because they enjoy those kind of games, and it's a great way to kind of play with family, and it's a gorgeous game.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. The minis are
it's a
fantastic,
great miniatures.
and you painted them, and they're just awesome.
Yeah.
Although there were some you didn't paint, and we ended up using them, which I thought was funny.
Of course.
But yeah, that was a great time.
But I think that's most of. We
Well,
played
we also Pathfinder.
Yeah, played some. Dungeons
I think we
and
played
Dragons.
2 sessions in October. We've now played
Yeah.
session 0 plus, I want to say 3 sessions.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I
So
think
4 total, and you guys just hit 3rd level.
Yeah.
So literally at the end of last session, you guys gained 3rd level. You've almost died
Oh,
a couple of times.
some of us numerous times.
Yeah. But it's been fun.
Yes, always enjoyable.
I enjoy that role playing is just fun, and being the DM, it's just a different experience.
Yeah.
I think I would prefer to play, but I do like the storytelling.
Yes.
So
But I think that's everything we did in October. And then in November, and looking forwards, we've got a number of games that we're going to look at and or have played. So,
Yeah.
first off on top, we got the Grass Crown. Well, I want to call it the Glass Crown. I don't know.
Shields and Swords.
Shields and Swords,
Ancients,
Ancients. This
Amabel
is,
Holland,
yeah,
Hollandspiel.
sequel for With It or On It. There's a review for that already. We played this. I actually played it earlier on today.
Yeah.
It's actually set up right here. You can't see it. Oh, you probably can see it. Maybe you can.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, it's right here.
That's a great game.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Really like this.
Yeah, really
It's
liked
a great
it.
game. So we already played the same
game
amount
in-
of war
a
games
game
as
in
we
the-
played
yeah,
last
it's
month.
ridiculous.
But we've got.
I do think World War I took so much out of us that I just felt like
Yeah, we had a little bit of a break.
little hangover.
Because it was a
yeah.
lot. So, what do we got here? Some other games that we're going to try and tackle.
We are not going to try. We are going to get these done this month
Yeah.
because we've got a ton that
probably
we need
true.
to play. We
So-
really do.
The Dark Summer. Ted Racer, the Dark Series. This
I'm
is a
so
chip
excited.
pull game. This is a one-mapper, Normandy.
So excited.
I love this system.
Yep.
It's Normandy. It's one
World War
map.
II,
It's chip
not
pull.
World War One.
It's so.
Sorry.
It's like the chip pull makes it solo friendly. Like,
Yeah.
I'm primed to like this game.
Yep.
Because I like the system and I like the theme of this.
Yep.
So I have pretty high expectations for this.
I do too. That's why I'm like, we got to play that
Yeah.
this month.
I got high hopes for that one. I really want that to be good.
Another one that we actually just got this game from Phalanx. Just came off Kickstarter, I think, a couple of months ago. We got
Yeah.
a copy a couple months afterwards. You can see we haven't even taken it out
Yeah,
of shrink.
I'll probably unbox this. Here
Yeah, we
sooner
definitely
rather than
need to
later.
unbox it. But it is a card-driven war game based on, I think, the GMT game called Successors. This is like either 3rd or 4th edition of that game.
It's by Richard Berg and Mark Simonich, so I presume that that's the case.
Yeah, it's a fantastic looking game on the wars of the Diadochi and the Alexander successors. It just looks awesome.
And it's been given the Phalanx treatment. And if you don't know what that means, they've
huge
decked it out to the
minis.
nines.
Yeah.
You've got these huge
Beautiful
commanders, miniatures,
Yeah.
very nice plastic components, cards. This isn't this, right?
Yeah.
This is
modern.
This
gaming.
weighs a lot.
Yeah, it does.
It's big.
Yeah.
It looks great. I'm hoping that it's enjoyable to play, and people love it.
Yeah.
The reviews are.
And I will
it's
say,
good.
we played a game along this same lines.
Hannibal and Hamilcar.
Yeah, and I don't know. We had a different experience than I think most other people.
Yeah,
had with that game.
I don't know if that's one of the times where I'm like, are we idiots? But that one kind of fell flat for us, is what I will say.
I'm hoping this one is a little more exciting, and because I really have an interest in Alexander the Great and that time period. Obviously, Alexander's dead, but his successors. It just looks really good.
Yeah, I'm thinking this one's going to be very interesting. I hope it's good. It looks excellent. Got some high hopes for that. And then we have Commands and Colors Samurai Battles. I know a whole bunch of you have already played this. This came out 9 months ago.
Well, and I think we had been trying to play it. We just had that World War I thing that got in our way.
And
it
took me a while to sticker it, and then we were playing some French Indian War games, and then this just kind of got pushed back and pushed back and pushed back.
40 scenarios.
Yeah, this is
40
probably
flipping scenarios.
the price you're going to pay for this. This is probably the best value for money if you get going down that route.
Most of these CNC games have 10, 12.
Or 15 to 20 at most. This is twice as much as
40.
any other CNC game, basically. It's wild.
So I'm looking forward to that. We will play this month. Like I said, these 3 games we are definitely going to play. Yeah. And then I know solo games. We just acquired Empires in America, the French and Indian War.
Yes.
Which is a States of Siege solitaire game.
And also there's a mini expansion you got with it, right? Which was,
I haven't really looked through it because the cards were missing.
Yes.
The cards were over here.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to this one. I've heard it's hard. I've heard it is what very challenging.
Solo game.
And I'm very interested to try it out. So that's one of my solo games, along with Gorbachev.
Yeah, and I've got Phantom Fury from Nuts Publishing. I just got a hold of this, and I'm going to play this bad boy over the course of the month. I'm going to get this set up and bash this one. I've had my eye on this basically since 2015.
Got it.
It's extremely expensive secondhand, and I'm like...
Well, the problem with Nuts is they're a small publisher, and they don't do reprints very often.
Yeah.
They really don't. So this was done 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just never been reprinted. So it's rare.
Yes.
And people will charge you $200 for it. It's like Ranger, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Omega Games. The same thing. They made one print run. Now they've come out with a second.
Yeah,
one.
there's a few, but it's that Ranger, good luck.
Yeah, it's hard to find.
Because unfortunately the designer passed away on that one. This one at least, I don't know, maybe someone's going to get rights and reprint at some point. But this is like a tactical building-to-building clearing of Fallujah. But I'm like, the scale is what I'm really interested in. So I'm excited to play this one solitaire as well at some point this month. And I think... 1979, Revolution in Iran is one that we talked about.
Yeah, just off Kickstarter from the Dietz Foundation.
And so we'll kind of tie that into what's the whole Kickstarter section of this, which is going to be very short.
Yeah.
Because I don't...
I have not been paying attention this month. There may be some good ones out there. I'm just not seeing them.
I feel like
There is a cool one on, Mare Nostrum.
Really?
It's like a 3-game... So there's a solo game, a 2-player game, and a 5 to 6-player game, and it's all on that Mediterranean.
Do you know who's running it?
I don't.
Okay.
I looked at it. It's very expensive.
Okay.
Going to be honest. And you can buy any one of those 3. You can buy them separately.
We could get the tri-pack.
Right. So and the tri-pack was the one I was like, yeah, that might, but it was like $300 because it's 3 games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 3 full games. Looks great. I can't remember. Anyway, I don't even know why I brought it up. I apologize.
But so what we had is we did the Kickstarter for 1979 Revolution in Iran, which this is not. But it was by the Dietz Foundation, which is a non-profit that supports education, and we backed their tri-pack because really 1979 is like, that looks very cool.
Yeah.
But I'm like, donate to a good cause. We got this extra war game called 3 Years of War, which is like a card-based, I think, medievally type war game.
It's a 30 years war.
And so we got that, and then there's like a little racing game as well called Supercharged. Yeah. But I'm like, so that shipped and delivered from Kickstarter, and was frankly one of the smoothest Kickstarters I've ever been a part of.
With the exception of the stickers. They were hard.
Well, was it? Yeah, I haven't heard your opinion on that.
Well, it took me 2.5 hours to sticker about 45 or 50 blocks. They were tiny.
Yeah, the little discs and the stickers themselves are small, and they were.
Their die cut machine was just a little bit off.
It was too heavy,
yep,
and so they're like.
So you would peel literally the entire sticker.
Yeah, okay.
Off the sheet, and then you'd have to figure out how to get a nick there without ruining it to then pull it off the sticker. Now, I will say it got better down near the bottom of the sheet. The last 20 stickers were like, oh, I can get these off. But I was disappointed in that. I hope that Jim at the Dietz Foundation uses maybe a different...
Yeah, he knows, because...
Everyone's complaining about it.
Everyone, yeah.
But it looks really good. It's a card driven by Dan Bullock. I'm very excited about it. But
they were like so clear about their communication. And it delivered basically when they said it was.
Well, they have a new one coming up.
Yeah.
Is it Free at Last?
Something like that.
It's about civil rights. Martin Luther King, but it's a cooperative game. And it's one that
their games
I thought
we
need to back that one.
Historical and educational, and the proceeds go to like funding scholarships for teachers and different
getting board games into curriculum in schools.
Yeah, so it's a great little cause. And, man,
Jim's an interesting guy. I've never met him. I think he lives in South Central Illinois. I lived in Centralia, which is kind of Southwest Illinois, for about 7 years, 6.5. And he just seems like a really down-to-earth guy who has a very good mission and is trying to run that mission to the best of his ability. And he's got guys like Dan Bullock designing games. Dan Bullock's a kind of a genius.
And you're like, he's teaming up with the right people.
Yeah, he's getting good people. They're turning out good games. It's interesting.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
They have that one called Free at Last or something like that. It's about civil rights and Martin Luther King, and looks very good.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure there's a billion other things on Kickstarter.
Yeah,
that are going on. I just don't know anything else.
I need next month. I will prepare a little bit. I'm trying to get more back into the blog and staying on top of it. It's just been a busy 4 months.
Yes, it has. So, I think that's all of that kind of preamble stuff. So let's talk about...
Did you say that's all that rambling stuff?
That preamble.
Oh, preamble.
So, because what we'll do...
I heard you.
Yes. So, the main topic of this month was submitted by Derek Davis.
Mm-hmm. One of our patrons.
Yes. And if you want to submit or have the capacity to submit suggestions for these topics, it's available to our $5 level patrons. I'll make a post every month.
$60 a year. I mean, look at it that way.
You can do it for 1 month and suggest on that 1 month, and I might pick it.
Yeah.
I don't look at anyone's like history. That doesn't influence me.
Well, we get 8 or 10 suggestions, and we try to pick the one that
like
some we're not comfortable with.
Yeah, some I like don't know enough about.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, ugh,
like we were asked this month about American Civil War games. We've played half a dozen.
Maybe.
I don't know that it's one that we're so into that I can intelligently
and there's
talk about.
Like I have a couple games from very, very well-known and well-regarded systems. Mm-hmm. Once we've played those, on top of the ones we've played, maybe I'd feel like I'd be a bit more informed and not just talking out my ass, frankly.
Yeah.
So...
Well, you do that a lot.
I do that a lot.
I do it a heck of a lot.
Like, me... Right. Talking about the American Civil War would be extremely obvious. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
It'd be a little laughable.
Because, I'll be honest, I generally speaking don't know what I'm talking about with anything. And ACW is like...
I know.
Double down on that bad boy. I'm like...
Well, it's just not...
I know what Gettysburg was.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so... So some topics don't get picked.
Yeah, right,
For
right.
reasons like that. But if you want to suggest topics, that's the way to do it. Sign up for our Patreon, and then just reply on the posts, and, you might...
Thanks to all of our patrons.
Yeah.
It does help us.
You guys make this kind of thing happen.
Yeah.
And make some of this procuring games,
Yep.
procuring the hardware that you're watching on, much, much simpler for us as well.
Yeah.
So, the topic is air war games.
One of our favorite types
Real
of games.
broad. Air war games, solitaire and multiplayer. And we have played a bunch. Mm-hmm. We have not played all of them.
No. There are many that we want very desperately
Yes.
to play.
And I own a lot of those.
Yeah, you do Downtown.
I don't have Downtown. But
I thought you did.
No. But
Okay.
I have Red Storm and Elusive Victory. Those
Yep.
use the Downtown system.
Yeah.
But like those, I've got the Burning Blue. I desperately want to play that at some
Yep.
point. Some of them, like those, like all three of those, fairly complicated.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm going to start with air war games.
Isn't that one of the hallmarks of an air war game? It's fairly complex.
Well, there's a spectrum, and
Yeah, you're right.
and there's not much in the middle.
Yeah.
They're either quite simple and reductive, and usually fun, or they are
Wild Blue Yonder is an example of that.
usually quite detailed, verging on simulation, and like, did I move too far into like, this is a sim and not a game?
Yeah.
And usually quite crunchy.
Got it.
So, like, Red Storm is very crunchy.
Yeah.
The way that things move, and, like, that's one of those games where a turn takes you, like, a half hour, and in real time it's 6 seconds.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
that's-
Exactly, yeah.
So, understand that some of those games, that's what you're getting into. But, like, sometimes that's extremely good and rewarding.
Yeah.
And I like some of those games. But understand that, like, usually it's one of those two things. It's rare that you get stuff that's kind of in the middle that's satisfying. Because it's either too complicated to be like a light, fun game, but not complicated enough to be like a realistic sim.
Yeah.
And so you end up in this kind of wishy-washy middle area. So that's kind of where I'm starting with.
Yeah.
That's kind of, at least my opinion of those kinds of things. So, light, fun games. We've already talked about Wild Blue Yonder, which I got up here in this big old shelf.
Such a great game.
And it's a card game.
Yep.
You have a hand of cards, and that's what you're using to, like, maneuver your little one plane and your little wingman that's out, and you're competing against one other person if you're doing a 2-player.
Yeah.
You can play, like, 4... I think you can play up to 8 people.
You can,
Where
yeah.
you, like, sit around a table, it's a big dog fight, and you're all kind of fighting each other, but it's... You're playing these cards. Oh, I'm going to do a loop-de-loop maneuver,
Yep.
and you're going to do, like, a scissors maneuver to counter that, and I'm going to counter your counter, and you're like... It's a hand management game.
Yep.
I'm not trying to outplay you so that I've got you on my sights, attack, shoot
Yeah.
you a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
That's basically what that game is. Then it's like your turn to do that kind of thing. And everyone's doing that, and then you kind of,
Yeah.
who's dead, who's not, do I refill my hand if I'm alive and go
Yeah.
again?
And particularly Wild Blue Yonder, those games, 15 minutes.
Yes.
10 to 15 minutes is what you're going to experience.
And they do like big tournaments, that stuff
Yeah.
at WBC, which is cool.
But once again, you can play different airplane types. You can play different nationalities. It's just a very cool game. It's a lot about having the right cards,
Yeah.
right? But it's also a lot about managing that hand.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to
Using your cards.
you don't want to overblow it and kind of blow your wad, because once
Because you don't refill until
No.
they've had their turn on you.
yes, so you may have no cards to defend yourself.
And you will lose if
Yeah.
that's the case.
So it's a balance, and I think, although there comes a point, kind of that tipping point or point of no return.
Yeah.
Oh, I've played 3 cards or 4 cards. I can't lose this now.
Yeah, so it's
know?
now that I've gone like that one card too
I
far,
gotta go
I
another
gotta
card.
go all
Yeah.
in, and if I don't win this, I was gonna lose anyway.
Yeah, right.
Which is cool. It's fun. And it's a 50-minute game.
Yeah,
The stakes
you
are
set it
incredibly
back
low. You're
up.
just like, doo-doo-doo.
Yep. We have enjoyed that. We've probably played that, I want to say 15, 20 times, and
so
just really enjoy it.
Wild Blue Yonder is the name of the box. It's part of the
Yeah.
Down in Flames
Right.
system, which has been around for decades.
And had many iterations.
And many companies have
Yeah,
done titles of it. One of those is, we've got Down in Flames Locked On,
That's awesome.
which is just the 19...
Well, it's really the same concept, but think explosive missiles
Yeah, it's the jet fighters version.
versus machine guns.
Yeah,
You know-
Wild Blue Yonder, World War II.
You
dogfighting.
can get hit a couple times, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You can recover. Down in Flames, Locked On, you get tone.
It's
hard to get away. You're dead.
It's straight up like Top Gun the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's
great.
Yeah, and it's cute seeing the difference between those two. Like
Yeah.
I said, World War II. Oh, I got strafed. Oh, I took a damage. Ooh. Oh, I got strafed
Yeah.
again. My wingman got shot down. I took another damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, Locked On. It's like if that missile launches, you're done. Like you're dead.
Yeah.
You don't survive the missile launch.
And you can use machine guns in that too, but why would you when you have these cool these
but
missiles?
to get into machine gun range, you've had to go through so many different air-to-air ranges that you're probably dead already.
Yeah.
You've died long before you got into that range. And it's just fun. It's extremely lethal.
Yeah.
But it's cute seeing two different parts of that system. It's nice.
Just two different eras that really use different equipment.
But the same core system works in both.
Yeah.
And it's a fun card game. Like, that's a game I would recommend to anyone who's interested in air war.
Yeah.
Like, you could play that with someone who's not a war gamer.
Yeah.
Play with your kid, play with your dad, play with your brother. Because it's not...
Well, the rules are simple. It's
not
cards, so...
intense.
Yeah, it's very... You can pick the game up. Very approachable.
Yeah, very fun.
And very fun. I have enjoyed those games. I would play it right now if you wanted to get out Wild Blue Yonder.
it's
I
a
would
good one.
because it's 10 minutes.
Yes.
I mean, and I can do it 3 or 4 times and we can go to something else. So
Yes.
so those are kind of 2 examples of that basic.
Yeah, real nice and easy.
Yeah.
So then, something else that I feel like is kind of on that level is something like... So there's a series of solitaire games that are done by Greg Smith, and Night Fighter Ace, and Interceptor Ace,
Spitfire Ace.
all those kinds of games kind of also very simple. Like, they're very easy to learn, is what I mean by that.
Yeah.
And those are more narrative style games. They're solitaire. You've got a pilot, and he's flying a plane. You're going on night missions, and it's rolling dice on charts to see, oh, do you find anything? Then I'm going to go to this attack sequence, which uses a deck of cards, which is really cool.
That is a very cool part of it.
Yeah, and then it's
work.
Do I shoot the guy down? Does he shoot me down? Do I make it? Do I survive? Great, I fly another mission, and you're looking at it's the campaign overall. Can you become an ace? How many guys can you shoot down over the course of a year and a half?
Or do I die on a crash landing because I didn't have a parachute?
Yeah, on your very first turn.
Yeah, you can die on your first. And it's interesting because Greg, for everybody that knows Greg Smith, his main games were, Silent Victory,
the
Hunters, the Hunted. That's what he started on. So those are submarines, World War II submarines. He has now used that same system, that narrative-driven solitaire.
The bones of that are the same.
And now merged it into the air war. He's also now starting to come out with a American Tank Ace. So
I'm curious to see how that works too.
So it's cool to see that he has used that system in different.
It's been able to be modified enough.
Very agile.
Well, and
flexible.
Night Fighter Ace, if you compare that to the Hunters, you can see some of the similarities, but the combat system's entirely different.
Has to be.
And the little fuel and the missions. It's nice.
The way he tracks the fuel on that is really ingenious.
It's very clever.
That could be a part of a game that's more a simulation and could be really intense in tracking.
Yes.
The way he does this, you can only go a certain amount of patrol boxes. That's your fuel limit.
Yes.
It's genius. I mean, I'm going to be able to go out four patrol boxes this time or whatever because this plane is limited on fuel.
Yeah, and where do it's
I don't have to track it. It's just tracked for me automatically. I actually have really enjoyed those games, and I don't know that I'm a big that solitaire system fan. I played Silent Victory. I've played Hunters. I've enjoyed them, but they don't speak to me like you.
Yeah, Night Fighter Ace is one of my favorite ones, honestly.
I also enjoyed America Bomber. I mean, I had a good time with that one. It's a what if.
That one's a bit more zany.
It's kind of zany.
Because it's oh, what if? And you're like,
yeah,
I'm Baron Red Skull in my evil big giant bomber.
Yeah, and some of your missions, it's you're bombing a ball bearings factory in
Pennsylvania,
upstate New
yeah.
York, and you're trying to drop off some propaganda over the eastern seaboard, and because you don't want the Americans to hate you, and it's just interesting. There's just a lot of different. But that whole system, he's just done game after game. He has West Front Ace coming out.
Yeah, which is very cool. The Waldo one was just like, I like
Sopwith
Death Simulator.
Yeah, right. I mean,
you don't, parachutes didn't exist back then.
Yeah.
You got to shoot down a giant barrage balloon that's full of helium. Good luck.
Yeah, right. You're going to burn yourself up.
With my little canvas and wood plane. Good luck.
Yeah.
It's
It's just so cool to see how he's... So that's another genre or another kind of grouping of air war games. One of both of our favorite games of all time is Lee Brimacombe Woods' Bomber Command.
Yeah, it's so good.
I'm trying to think if it's up here.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. We have played that 3-4 times now.
Yeah.
And I just...
Like Bomber Command is one of my favorite games of all time.
Every time we play it, it's just so cool.
And Lee Wood, famously, is a designer who, he's the one that kind of like writes that line. Like, his games are usually pretty crunchy.
Yep.
And I remember reading an article by him where it was like, he's always like trying to find that line between game and simulation and where that merges. And he's like, I understand that sometimes I sacrifice game for simulation. But like, if that's what you want to do, then it's great. And understand that going into some of his games. So he did Wing Leader.
Which is another system that we've played.
Yeah, which is very different.
We actually haven't played this one. This is Victory.
Yeah, we played Wing Leader Supremacy.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Yep.
But like, his games are usually pretty dense, rules-wise. When you play them, it gives you something. But man, Bomber Command, oof,
it's so good.
You got all this like hidden information. The RAF's like got this little piece of paper, and they're like, "This is where I'm going," and this is.
And the German night fighters are.
And yeah, I'm
going
to
do this. I'm doing this.
I'm just trying to launch my sorties and try to find you, and I'm just trying to like penetrate that huge bomber stream and like wreak as much havoc as I can. But I'm limited on how much fuel each of my Jagdgeschwaders have. That fuel tracking system is horrible.
Yeah, it makes the game a little complex.
That's the only thing about that game I don't like.
Yeah.
And if there was a way to make that simpler, it would be great.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that would look like, because I'm not that smart. But that's quite involved, because if you mess up and you forget to like move one fuel down, you're starting to get into like, you're not actively cheating, but like,
yeah, you're cheating.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
like,
it does.
You wouldn't be able to get that extra search, and like you did too much, and maybe
Yeah.
It has a lot of knock-on domino effects in that game. But man, you like, it's all this secrecy, and you're like trying to throw up all of your different radar systems and all your flak guns, and all these events are going off.
The events are very cool too.
Yeah, and then like at the end, you get to like this little battle splat board, and you like drop all of your bombs on it, and it's pretty grim. And
you roll some dice, and it's all modified by the amount of damage that you've taken over time and getting there.
And it's possible you like put all this stuff out, and then it like all shifts off because you were so damaged.
Yep.
I got to move all these counters off, and you did basically nothing.
Yep.
Or I didn't do enough damage to you, and it's just like
it was
nightmare
like a
fuel.
Fire tornado.
There's like there's like firestorms that can happen.
The very cool part about and the one thing that I didn't like about that game, and we had this conversation, is and it's the same discussion that High Command had. Should we be doing this? Is it moral to bomb civilian populations?
And some of the stuff,
Bomber Command had those discussions, right?
You get that Dresden mission, and you're like, that's intense.
But having to fly out there, and then you're trying to bomb their houses. I mean, it's a very interesting concept.
But like, you're not trying to do that.
Yeah, but you're doing it.
You will do it. It will happen. But like, they've got the targets of like, look, here's this, and here's this, and here's this, and you lose points for bombing the civilians.
No, you do, but it ends up happening.
But like, you don't have a ton of control of it.
No,
but it simulates. They didn't really have all that much control over it.
And
the bombing was extremely inaccurate, and you were always going to hit something else.
And I think the thing I like about that bombing procedure is there is a lot of randomness to it. There is some dice rolling.
Yeah.
And you're rolling, and you can roll really well, and it's like, oh, my incendiary set other things on fire.
But
and,
like, you don't get to like do all of that unless you've played the game really well.
well, yeah,
That's what I enjoy about it.
you can be so damaged that you're not going to do anything.
Yeah, which, like, me as the little German defenders,
Mm-hmm.
if I've played the game really well, you ain't bombing the city.
Right.
Like, nothing.
You're not going to
will
hit
hit.
anything. Yeah.
Or, like, if you've been so secretive enough and you've done good defensive fire
Yeah.
and decoys and stuff, and I haven't found you,
Yep.
like, it's going off.
Yeah.
And I think it's really nice. Nice. It is, I don't know, that it, gosh, that sounds like a psychopath.
Yeah.
That is a game that has payoff in the end.
It does.
Like,
yeah.
it is so many war games. It's like, oh, I won the game, and
Yeah.
kind of like we had some tension, and then like I like kind of steamrolled things. We kind of petered out at the end. Mm-hmm. But this is a game where it's like you played really well, and then like there is a payoff at the end, and it's like all this stuff gets done, and it's like, yes, I executed my mission extremely well.
But then guess what?
Gotta fly back home.
You got to make back. And that's the other very cool.
And you all die on the way back, and then you lose.
The game is almost like 3 games in one.
Yeah.
It's the cat and mouse between the night fighters and the bomber streams. It's the bombing run and that procedure. And then it's the getting home when you're being harried by every night fighter in the area that can reach you.
Who now know exactly
where
you
you are.
And you're very limited
Yep.
on your ways home.
And it's just it's such an interesting simulation of that game. And I love the hidden movement. I love the hidden information. I love the card play. I love that bombing procedure. There's just a lot to like.
And that's why I'm like desperate at some point to play the Burning Blue.
Yeah.
Because it's a very similar concept.
Yeah.
Where the Germans are setting
But
up
it's
these
burning
raids.
London, right? It's
It's
bombing
Battle of
London.
Britain.
Yeah.
But it's this very similar concept. You got all these radar systems and anti-air, and then it's like all your fighter command, launching all their different patrols. Very, very similar type of concept.
Yeah.
And I love bomber command, and so I'm like, I really hope this is equally as good.
Yeah.
So that's one. But yeah, those are much more detailed.
Yeah.
and pretty intense.
And there's a follow-up to that, and I think we have it. We just have never played it. Night Fighter. Isn't it called Night Fighter?
So that is a very different game.
Okay, it's very different.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
No, yeah.
Forget that. We have not played that. That's
No.
by GMT as well.
Yeah, and there's actually like a computer game version of it, which apparently is better because it's not really a 2-player game.
Yeah.
It's a 1-player game with a referee, which I'm like,
Oh, okay.
a little bit strange.
Yeah, kind of odd.
Yeah, but we've not played that one yet.
I know we have it sitting over there. I can see it.
Yes. Other Air War games.
Well, one that we played that I thought was very interesting was Battle of Britain by
The one from PSC.
PSC Games.
Yeah.
It's a remake of an older game. Uses miniatures. You know,
Which
so you got
who doesn't want that?
you got Heinkels. You got, all the different planes, and you're trying to fly around and intercept and dogfight and shoot down these planes and prevent them from bombing your cities and your key areas. It's just a fun, interesting game. It uses some cards. It lots of bucket of dice game. You're gonna roll 8 or 10 dice.
That one's one of those games where like complexity wise, it's real in the middle. Like it's not like these are like 15-minute light games. That one's a bit more involved.
It's a 45-minute to an hour-long game,
but it's a dice chucking. Beer and pretzel.
I
style
enjoyed
game.
that game. I don't know if you did or not. It's been 4 or 5 years since we played it.
It was enjoyable. I had a good time with that. They had some cool the hidden objectives type stuff in that is always enjoyable. Yeah, that was a fun one.
I'm trying to think of other ones that Wing Leader Supremacy you kind of talked about.
Yeah, we played Wing Leader Supremacy a long time ago.
I'm not sure we had an amazing experience with it because we were pretty new.
Yeah, and it's a very detailed game.
Yeah.
So I've got Wing Leader victories. I want to give that another go.
Because I think we will understand it better now and get the concepts a little better.
And yeah, like I think about that game all the time.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it was very cool. Mm-hmm. It was very different. But some of the things that it was trying to do, I don't think I was really grokking. But now I'm like, yeah, I think I know much better what's kind of going on with it.
Yeah.
Because it had all this like kind of, like these are your pre-programmed orders, and like you can only break those orders under certain conditions. And I'm like, those conditions how do you meet? Like, there's a lot of stuff in that game. That's all, and it was intense. So I'm like, I want to give that one another go. But one of my favorite games of all time is RAF, Battle of Britain from Decision Games. Love that game. We played it 2-player once.
We did, yep. And I had a great time with it. It's a very long and in-depth game.
Yeah, and it's long because you want to play the campaign.
Yeah.
Straight up. Like, you can do, like, they got, like, this, like, 1-day scenario. Mm-hmm. You don't want to do that. It's fine.
It's like a snack.
You'll learn the rules that way, but, like, this game is a game of the Battle of Britain.
It's about attrition.
You're playing this whole arc of this game of, it's your resources. I gotta get in my reinforcements. I gotta get new pilots in.
Yep.
My new pilots aren't very good. I have to get them experience. Oh, they all got shot down when I used them. Mm-hmm. Get me more new green pilots.
Yeah.
Like, and you're desperately trying to keep enough sorties in the air and, like, air defenses spread out to keep the bombing... like, mitigates that damage and, like, desperately trying to repair. Like, I love it. And when you play 2-player, the Germans have, like, this secret little planning board where they're like, I'm going to do a raid and it's going to be here. And it's going to be made up of all of these planes. Conversely, the Germans have only a limited number of planes in there. And, like, at the beginning of the game, it looks like so many. And then you're like, all my Stukas got shut down. Wait. We don't make Stukas anymore?
Yeah.
Those never get replaced? Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're like, I only have these Dorniers and Yonkers 88s, and they're not nearly as good.
Yeah.
And so, like, your resources get whittled down over the course of time, and, you know, RAF's, like, just trying to hang on, and then, like, kind of, can they get enough together? And so that attrition, like you talk about, the arc of this campaign is so good. And I played the whole thing solitaire. 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. Would love to play like a big ongoing
and you know,
player if you could
I own the game. I've never played it solitaire. Yeah, we got another copy in a trade.
I didn't know.
Yours is a newer version. Mine's like...
Do you have the West End Games version? Or is it like the first?
No.
There's a million versions of it. The newest one is like $120. It comes in like a 4-inch box and it's got all mounted maps in it.
Okay.
Mine is the old paper maps 2-inch
I think
box.
mine's the paper maps. Yeah. But it's a game that I would love to play a little more solo. I just haven't.
And you can play it as the German solo as well.
Yeah.
It's got like 3 modes in it, which is very cool. Really like that game. It's more like if you play as like the British, you kind of picture it as like almost like a tower defense game.
Yeah,
they're just coming at you, and
you got to hold out.
You got to like get my defenses up and repair what I got. It kind of feels like that, but the course of the game. And you'll be in like these negative victory points, and it's like, come on my way out of it, and then like you like get into the red, and you're like, yes!
Yeah,
it's great. Love that game.
So other DVG has a whole line of Air Leader, you know, Phantom Leader. You've played Vietnam.
Love Phantom Leader. Love it.
Zero Leader is their newest. You played it. Shot a video review of it. Corsair Leader we've played. Corsair Leader and Zero Leader can be played together, opposed.
Yes.
I'd love to maybe sit down and try that out one time. I think someone's asked us.
I'm curious to see what that's like.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it's going to be like.
They wrote some rules for it. And
see if it works.
That. But they've got, like I just picked up Hornet Leader and Israeli Air Force Leader as well.
Thunderbolt Apache Leader is another one that you've played.
Yeah. Those all share, again, the same core system, where and that's more of like, I have a squadron of pilots with their little planes, and they have different skill levels, some are and all this
experience,
stuff.
Some are elite.
And I'm like going through a campaign of missions. I launch one mission, I don't have to send everyone. I'm only going to send 3 or 4 guys.
Because they get stress.
Yeah. And
they go out and they gain a stress or two, and once they get stressed, they don't perform as well.
Yeah, so you're basically the CAG in that situation, because you're really managing your squadron is a huge part of that game.
Yeah.
Like
it's the best part of those
You
games.
do the tactical mission execution, which is fun, and you'll do a bunch of them, but like desperately trying to keep your pilots operational and your planes operational is the really cool logistical kind of side of that thing. Yeah, you got to fly all the missions, and there's cool stuff and events, and shooting things down. That's awesome. But yeah, that managing of that stuff on what's a kind of a personal level. Well, your pilots have names, and when they die, it's really sad.
Yeah.
And you get like the newbie in the squadron, and he's not very good, and everyone hates him. Like that's a very enjoyable series. Now, something like Corsair Leader and Zero Leader, if you were strapped for cash, you don't need both of those because
they cover the same.
They're both very similar. And it's like
just from the
pick one.
Japanese perspective.
If you don't
want to
collect them all, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Like Phantom Leader, Hornet Leader, Israeli Air Force Leader, it's all jets.
Modern.
You're all executing missions fairly similarly. So like, pick one that you think will be interesting, and like just dive in because those games also have a ton in them.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at like
5-6 campaigns.
Twice as much as usually. Twice, and then each campaign can be played like a short campaign, a medium campaign, and a long campaign. So like you can tailor it to what you want.
Yeah.
And there's like massive stacks of cards of millions of different like planes and fighters and loadouts and skill levels. Like it'll never be the same type of thing, you know. So each one of those boxes has a ton in the game.
But those leader series, I've enjoyed not only the air ones, but the Sherman Leader and Gato Leader, and they're just all interesting and different. I have B-17 Flying Fortress Leader. I've messed around with it. I've just never played it. But yeah, there's a lot of coolness there. Now, I know from Legion War Games, one of your favorite series is Target for Today, Target for Tonight.
Yeah, Target for Tonight was one of my favorite games. Love it. It was really, really good. So those are also...
I have not played those. They're narrative-driven solitaire games.
Yeah, so those are both kind of successors to B-17 Queen of the Skies, which is like the original Air War solitaire game, from which things like The Hunters is based off of.
Yeah.
Like they're all based off of that kind of a system.
Yeah.
And that one, it's like, again, it's this narrative. I've got a plane. I've got a bunch of guys in my crew. They've got names. They've got positions in the plane. I roll a dice. This is where we're going today. And then I fly through those zones. Does anyone shoot me down? Like, do I find anything? Oh, some Messerschmitts are attacking me. I put them on my little board. Okay, I can attack them with my
this
tail
gunner,
turret and
gunner.
these waist gunners. I chuck some dice. Do I fend them off? No. Oh, they strafe me with cannons. I'm dead.
Yeah.
Or you make it there, and it's like, okay, what kind of shape is my plane in? I chuck some dice. Did I do some bombing? Great. I fly home. And it's, again, you're doing that over the course of a campaign. You're trying to get through your 30 missions of Memphis Belle, basically.
And it really is, it's chart to chart to chart to chart. It's like weather chart and target chart, and I mean, it just...
there's contrails.
Yeah.
Cool. That means the enemy can see me and I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Like, so all of those are... What it is, that's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Right? But to me, they're almost little micro role-playing games. The more you put into it, the more fun and rich of an experience you're going to have.
Well, you name your pilots, and you care about them a little bit. And Greg does a great job in his games giving you the dress-up doll. You put medals, you put skills. But there are all those narrative-driven games. You're right. You get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
If you go into it and you're just rolling dice, you're not going to enjoy it. We've seen some other reviewers not enjoy those kind of games.
And fair play. I understand.
That's okay.
That's not, because it is... If you would not invested in it, you're rolling dice and looking at the result on a chart.
Yeah.
Rolling dice, that's boring.
Yeah.
But like, to me, and Legion does a really good job of this. They have like some auxiliary charts. I got damaged. Cool. But then you roll what the damage is.
Yeah.
And where it is. And so it's a bit more visceral. It's a bit more like, I can visualize, I got strafed along my wing, and it's like all of these bullet holes. And then I'm like, and then I'm picturing it. And then it's like, I'm making the stupid engine noises in my basement on my own. Like, you get into it a little bit more. And I enjoy those kinds of things, and those games have some pretty cool tension in them as well.
Yeah.
And I think one of the last ones that I've got is Skies Above the Reich, and I also have Storm Above the Reich as well.
Yeah.
So those can be played solitaire, and I've played a lot of that solitaire.
They can also be played cooperatively.
Yes. You can't play it competitively. Or if you can...
Someone's probably designing rules for it.
I would not recommend it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are designed by Jerry White, and he's done a number of games. He did Atlantic Chase, and he did...
he's a fantastic...
Yeah. he did Enemy Coast Ahead as well.
Dam Busters Raid.
Which those are very cool. But Skies Above the Reich is it's a similar kind of concept. You have a squadron of German Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs, and you're trying to shoot down B-17s. But it's very different in its style. They're like printed on this map, and there's all these different zones, and you're flying around the edges abstractly to then get into these like diving or climbing attack patterns, and then they've got all these like fields of fire, and it's great. And then there's some abstract kind of defense fighters going on as well. That's a very cool game.
And those games have been very well received. Yeah. I think people have really enjoyed them. They're nice games. I think the next one that's being worked on is Skies Above Britain.
Yes.
By GMT. So it's Battle of Britain.
One, which I'm very excited for because I think it has to be quite different.
Yes, and it is. I think if you read that on GMT's, it's very different.
And what they've shown is like, looks pretty different.
Yeah.
I'm like, some core elements are going to be the same, but I'm like, I'm always interested to see how they're going to change and what they're going to do with it. Those are premium quality games for sure. They like insane quality.
Production's off the chart. I think they're well. Jerry's a great designer,
and it's the same, similar type of thing though. Like you're trying to play through a number of missions in a campaign, and at the end of that, how many of your dudes are alive? What kind of and that's how you're going to measure your kind of success in that instance. So that's a good game. It's enjoyable, and again, it's very different in style from a lot of the other ones as well.
Yeah,
which is nice. So I think.
So if you can't tell, we really do enjoy Air War games. I think we've played a lot of them, and I think if there are new ones coming out, we're always into them and interested in them, and I just think they're very good games. There's many that we'd still like to play.
Yeah, and I like those are ones where like I own them, and I'm like at some point I will play them.
Yeah.
Because I want to. I don't know. I grew up on Air War movies, things like Battle of Britain, 63 Squadron, all that kind of stuff. I really enjoy that. I don't know. I just think warplanes flying around, it just looks and sounds very intense. And playing those out, because flight is such a tricky thing to kind of simulate at times. And how far you go into that and all that kind of stuff is an interesting design choice, but like nothing like flying planes around shooting stuff down.
Yeah.
Nothing quite like it. I don't know. I really, really like that stuff.
And I think there's a lot of games out there. There's something for everybody. Whether it's simple card games, more involved simulations that are very crunchy, narrative-driven games that are, like we said, more in the theater of your mind. Yeah. And I just think there's a lot out there. And if you're interested in that subject, buy one and give them a try. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
Yes. So, Air War games. Ton of it out there. If you have any questions, post them in the comments. If you have any good Air War game suggestions that we haven't talked about,
maybe that's a theme we could
because
there's at least 4 or 5 that I know we haven't played.
Yes,
that are well known that we probably need to play.
Yeah, and there's like Red Storm. I want to play. They got an expansion coming out.
I know.
I haven't played the
and there's a guy that's been contacting us about a solitaire version he's putting together.
Which, if he can put together a solitaire version, because it has some like solo options and stuff in there, but I'm like, the game's real complicated.
Yeah.
If I can find something that's like clean and clear,
easy to use.
Yes. So, Air War games. Like that's like right up my alley. If you make an Air War game, I'm going to play it straight up.
Yeah.
So appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm Alexander from PlayerSafe.com.
And I'm Grant.